Hi, welcome to Vanished Voices, The Overlooked. We're your hosts. I'm Jenna.
And I'm Shannon.
How are you today?
I'm good. Had a good little gym sesh.
Oh, we like that.
Yes.
Those good endorphins going.
Yes.
Yes, always feels good. I have a case for you today that is really sad. A 14-year-old girl.
Way too young.
Way too young. And fairly recent, too. Should we jump right in?
Yeah.
So in the winter of 2018, a 14-year-old Northern Cheyenne girl went missing near her community of Lame Deer, Montana. 20 days later, her body was found less than 200 yards from where she was last seen, which is just outrageous from the beginning.
Yeah, 20 days later,
Mm-hmm.
she was that close the whole time.
Yeah. Or was she?
Oh, okay.
Right?
Okay.
I mean,
do tell.
They say she was, but that seems outrageous. This is the story of Henny Scott. She was born in 2004. She was raised amid the rolling plains and pine hills of the Northern Cheyenne Reservation. Henny was known for her bright smile, caring heart, and her outgoing spirit. Her mother, Paula, often says that Henny had a gift for lifting others' spirits. She could just walk in a room and light it up, get it going. Everybody was laughing, Paula says, remembering how her daughter always put other people's feelings first. She even said that you would be laughing so hard it hurt. If someone was having a bad day, Henny would be the one to come over, ask if they were okay, and do whatever she could to cheer them up. She had an infectious laugh and just this gentle empathy beyond her years. Henny was in many ways a typical 14-year-old girl with big dreams. As a freshman at Lame Deer High School, she loved basketball. If she wasn't on the court, you could hear her enthusiastic voice booming from the bleachers, rallying her team. She had a passion for music and for dancing, often singing around the house and practicing whatever latest moves with her friends. At home, she was the jokester among her siblings, always ready with a silly dance or some kind of funny remark to make her brothers and sisters laugh. But Henny also had serious ambitions. She talked about joining the military and becoming a doctor one day, even going through her mom's EMT medical books to learn how to treat injuries and how to perform CPR. She was always doing her best in what she did, her family would say lovingly. Whether it was earning honor roll or helping her mom with chores, Henny seemed to put her whole heart into it. Those who knew Henny describe her as kind, outgoing, selfless. Henny was something else, recalls her older sister. She would always try to make people happy even when she wasn't happy herself. Henny's joy came from making others smile. At just 14, she was already a pillar of support for friends and relatives. She was a girl who bonded deeply with her mother, accompanied her everywhere. Paula often says that her and her daughter were inseparable. She said we went everywhere together. She was always happy. Henny's caring nature extended to everyone around her, and she adored her large family. It was a blended family of siblings, cousins, community members, and Henny also took pride in her Cheyenne heritage. Her Cheyenne name stood for 20 Stands Women, which was passed down from a respected elder in her family. At community events, Henny would often be found dancing, laughing, and embracing her identity with pride. It's important to talk about who Henny was, to remember that she was this vibrant young teenager. She had hopes, dreams, because so often in these stories, I feel like we can lose sight of the person beyond the headlines. And Henny was more than just a missing Indigenous girl. She was loved with a full life ahead of her. She should be 21 this year, perhaps in college or training to save lives as an Army medic, or maybe even working towards becoming a doctor. And instead, we're left with memories and photographs of this beautiful smiling girl with long brown hair, hoop earrings, often outside standing beneath the Montana sky. To her family, Henny will always be the girl who couldn't help but brighten your mood, the one who put her own feelings aside to make sure that everyone else was okay. And I feel like knowing who Henny was makes the story of her disappearance and death all the more devastating, as well as the failures that contributed to this story and make it all the more unacceptable. On Friday, December 7th, 2018, the quiet community of Lame Deer was settling into the deep chill of early winter.
So this is Wyoming, right?
Montana.
Montana. Okay.
Yeah, Montana. Temperatures in the area already were dipping below freezing, obviously, especially at night. That evening, Henny was hanging out at a friend's house in an area known as Muddy Creek, just west of Lame Deer on Highway 212. It was a typical, friend gathering, small house party where people from high school got together. It was a little bit like the party house or...
Okay, so they were there often. Mm-hmm. So it was a known location, a known hangout. Okay.
A known hangout that was known because there was an adult supervision.
I mean,
yeah,
of course.
So that's why
that would just defeat the purpose.
Exactly. That evening, Henny was actually grounded, and she did have permission to be out with a few friends. I guess maybe mom had relented a little bit.
Yeah.
She called home to ask if she could go to a basketball event in Billings, but her mom told her no, reminding her, you are grounded, And Henny was all right with that response. And she said, okay, I'll be home in a little bit.
Yeah, how far was Billings from Lame Deer, do you know?
I think it was around an hour.
Okay.
It was a bit of a drive.
Yeah, so I can see why.
Yeah.
She was told no when she's grounded.
Mm-hmm. But it seemed like she was okay with that answer, her mom said.
Yeah.
This is the last time her mom ever heard from her.
She probably expected the no, just asked anyway, as I know teenagers do.
And a lot of times I feel like it's the friend pressure, like, oh, just ask.
Right.
She might say yes.
For sure.
Details of what happened after this phone call, so the late hours of December 7th into the early morning hours of December 8th, are not well known. And part of that, I believe, is because people don't want to talk to authorities. And also authorities, I think, did a bad job investigating.
So was she within walking distance of her house, or why did she?
No, she was several miles away. And I can't find how she got to that house party or what her plan was to
get home. Okay.
Reporting, wildly available reporting says that Henny was last seen walking away from that residence that she had called from sometime on December 8th. Witnesses later told authorities that Henny left on foot into the freezing night wearing only light clothing. They said she was wearing a hoodie, jeans, and a jacket, which is not nearly enough for Montana in December. And this is where the timeline grows hazy and troubling. We don't know why Henny left the house. We don't know if she was planning to head home.
Did she have a cell phone?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
We don't know if she was just stepping outside for a moment. There are no answers. And that part is really tough. It haunts her family. What we do know is that the Northern Cheyenne Reservation is remote. It's dark at night. There are few street lights. In December, snow is already covering the ground and temperatures plummet well below freezing, especially at night. For a 14-year-old girl to be out alone in those conditions, this was already an emergency in the making. Henny's mother, Paula, began to worry when her daughter didn't come home like she said she would. So on the phone, Henny had called and asked to go to that event.
Right.
Her mom had reminded her, no, you're grounded. And her response had been, okay, I'll be home in a little bit.
Yeah.
Meaning I'll come home tonight.
Right.
And so her mom had expected her
and that
home.
So if you're saying that means you're probably going to leave and either go with the person to Billings for the tournament, or they're going to drop you home.
Right. And like we had mentioned in the beginning, Henny was an old soul,
Right.
according to her mom.
Yeah.
A lot of her friends were quite a bit older,
Okay.
which it turns out the people she was with at the party were all quite a bit older than her, like older high school, where she's...
So like 17, 18-year-olds?
It's what it seems like.
That's interesting that
She
I
connected
mean, granted,
better.
small town. So, okay.
Right, right.
It is interesting that a 14-year-old's hanging out with 18-year-olds because usually they don't like to mix.
Right,
I know small towns can be different though because it's small towns. You're
right,
not a lot of people.
right. And so we know they're a little bit older. They're able to drive, but she's not. And
Yeah.
so maybe she's counting on them bringing her home. But
Well,
that
yeah, you would
didn't
think
happen.
if she didn't have a ride, it would have been, okay, well then can you come pick me up because my
Mhm.
friends are leaving or something to that effect. But,
Right.
So this makes me think she thought they would be driving her home.
Yeah, because she didn't ask for a ride home.
Right.
And her mom said it wasn't completely out of the blue for her to be gone for a day or 2 or 3. She was really connected with her friends and would stay over at their house, like sleepovers.
Okay.
So not like completely gone.
Not connected, just okay, now I'm here.
Yes.
I'm now okay, well
And-
I have a social butterfly like that.
Yeah.
So I get it.
Yep. And always constantly checking in, letting
Yeah.
her mom know where she was,
Yeah.
where she was rotating whoever's house, whatever the case may be, but never off the grid.
Right.
Mhm.
Especially at 14. That's
Right.
still young.
Absolutely. Paula, Henny's mom, began to worry when she didn't come home later that night like she said she would. And her concern turned to panic the next day, Saturday, December 8th. Henny really was responsible and she was good at checking in. Also, Paula talked about how by 2018, they were already aware of missing and murdered Indigenous women in their area going missing.
Right.
That epidemic that it already was.
Was she okay, so was there other at that point, if they knew about was there other children?
There had been 24 others that year in their small community
In
that
Lame
had
Deer
gone missing in
or
I
the
wanna say
Cheyenne
Bighorn
Reservation?
County,
Okay.
in their county.
So how many of them were under 18?
That I'm not 100%.
Okay.
But women in general, girls in general, they had talked about being aware of her surroundings, safety precautions. She said that they would stand outside at night looking up at the stars, talking about, how to find north, how to find home,
Right.
the Big Dipper,
Yeah.
the different constellations. And she felt like Henny had a good understanding of how important it was to be safe
Yeah.
and take precaution.
Right.
Because they knew
Yeah, if
that
it's
this
already
was happening.
an awareness.
Mhm. Yeah. And I do find that interesting that all the way back in 2018, they
Yeah.
were already having those conversations
Yeah.
related to.
Well, the fact that 24 in just their county,
Mhm.
that's alarming.
It is alarming.
It's a lot of people.
Yes, absolutely. Paula, when she didn't hear from Henny on Saturday the 8th, sought help. She went to law enforcement on the reservation, specifically the Bureau of Indian Affairs, to report her daughter missing. But instead of prompt action, Paula encountered the frustrating and dismissive response that we continue to hear. She said, "They told me to fill out paperwork and they'll have somebody look into it." They had asked her if Henny was just off with friends.
Is the BIA always a Native person that works there, or can it be non-natives?
It can be
Okay.
non-native. Yep. They also asked if maybe Henny had a new, quote, love interest at 14.
I mean, okay, but yeah, like they text.
Yeah, right.
What if she didn't have a
Because-
cell phone? They're not even doing that.
They specifically asked if she might have, quote, run off with him.
Ew.
Ew. Like, what? This is a 14-year-old girl that's missing.
Right. And I'm
period,
thinking that
full
means,
stop.
okay, the boy would also be 14, meaning he can't drive. He can't.
And if he's not, we've got another
Right.
issue.
That's a whole other conversation.
Right. I can't handle their responses. They had no sense of urgency, no immediate response at all. No Amber Alert was issued, despite the fact that a 14-year-old girl is unaccounted for in dangerous weather. And I still can't figure out why there was no Amber Alert.
Yeah, that's true. That's Amber Alerts for anybody under 18, right?
Yep. They, in the end, we'll see, decided that she was probably a runaway.
Oh, God, there's that word again.
But I still don't understand why we can't just put out an Amber Alert.
Right.
Yeah, just do it.
Although I think don't Amber Alerts, you have to have a general idea of who they possibly are with. I think that's part of the criteria.
Possibly.
But you should still.
I mean, we know.
I'd rather, let's put out too much information.
Yes, please.
And then you can always retract it. Because I see all the time when I share missing people here locally, and then you get the update. Okay, they've been found. So then I can go to where I've shared it, and then I'll update. Okay, found.
And we've had quite a few recently.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's just put that out there. But that didn't happen. Paula says she could not comprehend why law enforcement was not acting. As hours turned to days, her desperation grew. December 11th came and went. And this date is important because it was Paula's birthday.
Okay.
And Henny missed it without a word, something that confirmed to Paula that for sure her daughter was in trouble. She said they still didn't take action when Henny missed my birthday on December 11th. That was when I knew the situation was dire. Throughout the time Henny was missing, the police barely contacted me. I felt like I was left in the dark. Every passing day without news was torture. I was just going crazy through that whole time, Paula remembers. I kept asking, what's going on here? What do they know? And yet, silence from law enforcement. In the absence of official help, Paula and her family began to investigate on their own. They reached out to Henny's friends on social media. They were trying to piece together who last saw her and where. What they uncovered was disturbing. They found a Snapchat video that allegedly showed Henny being assaulted by a group of teenagers at the very house she'd been at the night she disappeared.
So this is one that didn't disappear in 24 hours?
And I don't know if they screen recorded
the video, yeah.
In the video, according to Paula, some teens were, quote, jumping Henny, meaning attacking or beating her up. It's unclear when this video was taken, but it was alarming evidence that Henny might have been hurt that night. Paula immediately called police about the video, begging them to look into it. Shockingly, she says that investigators did not include it in the case, and it was never included in the case files.
Okay, how?
I don't
It's like
know.
handing you video of, that's how they got Preston Lord's people. That
time and time again.
Beat up and killed him.
These families are giving investigators evidence.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense whatsoever that you're provided a video and you don't even include it with the case file.
Right. How do we decide that it's not relevant? Even if it did happen, say December 5th, like her mom would have known. She would have come home with injuries related to it. The fact that her mom's saying this happened while she's missing, I don't understand. Paula is frantic to find Henny, and yet everything she's bringing to investigators is being overlooked, which she says was soul-crushing. She has this possible clue, evidence that Henny might have been harmed, might have left the party injured, and it seems to go nowhere with authorities. Leads were scarce, rumors swirled. At one point, law enforcement suggested that Henny just ran away.
What were some of the rumors?
That I'm not entirely sure.
Okay.
The reporting on this case is so scarce.
Which is
weird.
Wild, considering it was on a TV show.
But it's scarce because investigators did nothing and it was closed. It was ruled hypothermia and closed. So they didn't investigate it before she was found. It doesn't appear like they investigated it after. And then they closed it. And her family did have her exhumed, which goes against all of their cultural beliefs.
Yeah.
For a second autopsy. And that one came back inconclusive.
Okay.
And so I think that's why there's so little forensics, because they didn't do any.
Interesting.
Infuriating. It took until December 26th. So if you remember, she was first reported missing December 8th. It took until December 26th for the Montana Department of Justice to put out a missing endangered person advisory. So they never put out the Amber Alert, but they did put out a missing endangered person advisory for Henny.
Is that the one that goes into the database? Okay.
But the advisory described Henny as a runaway.
Oh, come on.
Right?
I like how they can use that word without any proof.
Exactly. And her family is stating, no, she is not a runaway. We didn't report her as a runaway. And also, it said she was last seen in the town of Busby, and possibly headed towards Hardin, which is a town off of the reservation. The advisory also said that she, quote, may have a physical injury. So, to me, that sounds like they're saying she ran away from this house party, ran away from family, but then they're kind of taking into account the video that the family found.
Right.
To say she might have an injury, or they're just making it up. I'm not sure. But none of that, her family can't figure out where that came from or why, and why those towns are named, because those aren't the towns that she had asked about going to,
right,
for the basketball thing.
Right.
And they're still not sure why it said she may have a physical injury. Her family was confused by this.
Could they tell what kind of injury from the video, or was it just, what you would get from being kicked and punched?
Exactly that. Yeah.
So bruising all over, face, broken ribs, possibly.
Right. Something black eye, maybe.
Right.
Describing Henny as a runaway only further delayed urgent search efforts, because they're not assuming she's in danger. They're assuming she left on her own accord.
Right, regardless of the fact that she's a minor.
Exactly. The response was painfully slow. And part of that comes back to our fun jurisdictional issues that we've talked about. Lame deer is on the Northern Cheyenne Indian Reservation, meaning primary law enforcement falls to BIA officers in this case. But initial reports suggest that Henny might have left the reservation or could be in Bighorn County, which does include Hardin and the Crow Reservation. Paula, in her desperation, traveled to the Crow Reservation to file a missing persons report when the Northern Cheyenne law enforcement didn't act. And that's about an hour
I think that's
away.
Smart. Yeah. Might as well cover all your bases.
Her request triggered involvement from the Montana DOJ and the FBI, but by this point, crucial time had been lost. Incredibly.
So wait, the request of putting her in Crow finally got the attention of DOJ and FBI, but not...
Yep, not the one in
not Northern Cheyenne.
Yep. Why?
Yeah, that's interesting as well.
And I can't figure that out either. Paula learned that the BIA paperwork for Henley's missing person report sat on an agent's desk for 2 weeks because that specific officer was away on vacation.
I don't know. Generally, you don't assign new work to somebody who's gone.
Right. Or you have somebody filling in for someone on vacay, right?
Yeah.
It's infuriating. So while Paula's waiting for updates, frantically searching, this official report never got put in the system. Nothing. It just sat on a desk, unattended. Paula says by the time this agent came back from his vacation, it was just sitting there. And my guess is sitting under other piles of paperwork at that point, which meant no search was happening for Paula and her husband, Nathan, who was Henny's stepfather. The lack of action was unbearable. As days passed, they realized that if anyone was going to find Henny, it was going to have to be them. There was no search, no Amber Alert. We had to do our own investigation and our own search, Nathan later said. They gathered relatives, friends, and volunteers from the community. They went door to door for any information. Finally, after more than 2 weeks of uncertainty, Paula and her aunt organized a large-scale search party on the ground. They had about 75 volunteers from the Northern Cheyenne tribe and neighboring communities who came together to look for Henny. It was now December 28th, so nearly 3 weeks since Henny had vanished. Despite the cold, volunteers fanned out through the Muddy Creek area, going through snow, going through brush and forests. They walked up and down the highway, combed the hills near the property where Henny had last been at, determined to try to find any trace of her they could. That afternoon, around 4:40 p.m., the search party made a devastating discovery. Henny's body was found lying in a field not far from the house where the party had been at. In fact, she was only about 200 yards away from the residence, basically within sight of it.
Yeah, that's
not
crazy.
The news hit the community like a thunderbolt. At the search headquarters in Muddy Hall, which was the local community center, somebody shouted that Henny had been found, and Paula's heart dropped. She rushed to the scene. She saw the volunteers gathered somberly, her worst fears confirmed. Paula said, "I just started crying. I told them to go check. I told them to check this place and look around. I don't even know how long she was lying there." Paula had been urging officers for days to search that very area. She knew that's where Henny had been on the night of the 7th. It's heartbreaking to think that Henny's body had been out there for days, maybe since she disappeared, maybe not. Also,
so what, 20 full days?
Yeah.
I mean, if it's within 200 yards, you would think that it had already been searched.
You would think people in the area would have noticed.
Yeah, if it was within view of the house.
Yeah.
Come on.
Unreal. And it's also horrifying that it was her own family and community that found her and not investigators, police, authorities, anything. Early the next morning on December 29th, Henny's body was moved to the tribal council chambers in Muddy Hall where her family had gathered. There were tears, prayers in Cheyenne and English, and a profound sense of loss. Many were also angry, justifiably so, that it had taken 3 weeks and volunteers to bring Henny home. Henny's mom said it only took the volunteers 4 to 6 hours to find Henny when the law couldn't find her in weeks.
That's wild.
Doesn't that break your heart?
4 to 6 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that does make you feel like if she was already deceased, she should have been found much sooner.
Yep.
And 20 days, although being in the cold can actually help preserve information.
True.
So yeah, this is going to get interesting.
Yeah. Word of Henny's death spread quickly. That Saturday, hundreds of community members gathered at Muddy Hall to mourn and support the Scott family. The outpouring of love was immense. People brought food, shared memories, and held one another in collective sorrow. Many also voiced frustration and calls for justice. 5 years earlier, in 2013, another young Northern Cheyenne woman, Hannah Harris, had been found murdered not far from where Henny was discovered. Hannah's mother, Melinda, came to comfort Paula, sitting with her through that night and helping guide her through the painful rituals of grief. These women, now bound by tragedy, understood each other's pain too well. "We are dealing with these tragedies at an alarming rate. There's got to be something done. Their lives matter," said Henny's grandmother, a tribal elder, her voice breaking with emotion. The Northern Cheyenne community, while devastated, was also galvanized, determined that Henny's death should not be swept under the rug. With Henny's body found, one chapter of this tragedy closed, but another began. One would hope the quest to find out how she died and whether anyone would be held accountable. On December 29th, Henny's remains were transferred to Billings, Montana for a forensic autopsy. The Bighorn County coroner, Terry Bullis.
So, county coroner, is this still when the coroner is the elected official and not exactly a medical examiner or has a medical background?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is an elected official who had been in for decades.
Oh.
And if you'll remember when we had talked about Sarah Stopp's Pretty Places, how her death was ruled hypothermia.
Right.
From the coroner who owned his own funeral home.
Yeah.
Same guy.
Stop.
Yep. Same
Stop
guy.
it.
No. So I had to dig into him. He was, quote, relieved of his duties in 2022, which doesn't help in 2018.
No.
But you will recognize these other names, I'm sure. Selena Not Afraid.
Yeah.
Sarah Stopp's Pretty Places.
Yeah.
And Henny Scott, all under his jurisdiction, all ruled hypothermia with a very small autopsy window of opportunity. And you remember Sarah was cremated without her family's permission.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Horrifyingly, in Montana, from 1999 to 2004, there were only 59 hypothermia deaths statewide, and just one was a teenager.
Wait, how many?
One.
No. How many total?
59.
See, that seems like a lot.
It does seem like a lot, right? Interestingly, there are around 700 or more hypothermia deaths in the United States each year.
Really?
Yeah. The averages say 700 to 1,500.
So is that like, okay, my car breaks down and now I'm stuck in weather type situations?
Yes, or people who are unhoused.
Oh,
live in some of the coldest places.
Yes. Okay, that makes more sense now.
More than 50% over the whole country are 65 or older.
Okay.
It is extremely rare.
Yeah.
To have somebody under age 18.
Right.
In Bighorn County, we have had multiple of these.
And the plot thickens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They had multiple teenage girls age 14 to 18 die of hypothermia all within a few years, which is an anomaly both in age and frequency.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all three of those, Henny Scott, Selena Not Afraid, and Sarah Stopp's Pretty Places, were all ruled either undetermined or accidental due to hypothermia, with alcohol being a contributing factor.
Which 20 days later, would alcohol really show up on an autopsy?
Good question. It can either result from being 20 days later and building up in the system. There are processes that make that a higher level than what it would have been if she was found right away, or it can go the opposite way.
Okay. So it's really not conclusive either way. There's an inconclusive that I actually agree with.
Yeah, exactly. A woman named Luella Bryan, who was a Crow reservation journalist, said, quote, hypothermia is the go-to answer to the dead Indian problem in Montana.
That's pretty blunt.
It is. Someone's got to call it out.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. So he was removed and his cases have been looked into since then. I was not able to find out if they found any
anomalies. Is he under any criminal investigation?
Not that I could find.
Okay.
It says that they're pushing for external oversight to ensure that these wrongful classifications of death are corrected, but it seems like it is a slow process. That's an interesting side note.
Yeah.
Here. But what that means is that in late March 2019, the official autopsy results were released. Stunningly, Henny's cause of death was determined to be hypothermia with alcohol intoxication as a contributing factor.
So was she known to drink?
Her mom said she knew she was drinking that night at the party.
Okay.
The manner of death was classified as accidental. So authorities said that Henny had been drinking at the party, wandered outside in the cold, and died from exposure in the harsh elements.
So I've grew up in the snow.
Me too.
Being cold kind of sobers you up.
Real quick, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I remember. It's been many years, but that's what I remember.
And I still feel like no matter how old you are or how intoxicated, you know if your house is walking distance or not.
Yeah.
Right? And her house was not.
Right. I mean, short of something else was put in her drink.
Right. Entirely possible.
Yeah.
But no mention of it.
But that, I don't think you're just leaving because you have no idea what's going on, not that you're trying to go home.
Right. And, she was planning to head home.
Right.
So what happened in the in-between?
Mm-hmm.
And, when she's on the phone with her mom, if she didn't think she had a ride home, she could have asked for a ride and her parents would have come and gotten her.
Oh, yeah. So what about the injuries from the alleged beatdown on the video?
So none of those were mentioned in the autopsy.
Okay, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Henny's mom went to where she was found. She said Henny was found in clothes that were not hers, which was never mentioned in the investigation.
Okay. Because if you're really getting jumped, which means multiple people are engaging, even if there had been time for stuff to heal, you would still see residuals within 20 days if there was that many people involved in your beatdown.
So Paula says she is certain that Henny's nose was broken.
Okay.
She's certain that she had bruises, bumps on her forehead, scratches on her chest. None of those are mentioned in the autopsy.
What about defensive wounds?
They also said that there were scrapings in her fingernails, but not part of the official investigation.
So we don't know if it was DNA. We don't know
if it was dirt or
Okay.
This investigation is so
poor
or so lacking. It is unbelievable. She said it looked like somebody had maybe clawed at her or tried to grab her. She said she even noticed what looked like burns on Henny's skin, which she couldn't come up with an explanation for how outdoor exposure could leave those kinds of marks.
Right.
They also said there was no insect or bug bite type things that they would expect for being out there for that long.
Yeah, and the elements. Because, someone's going to, some animal's going to come around.
And her stepfather, Nathan, was an expert hunter and said there's no way she could have been out there for 3 weeks and not had any kind of coyote or any animal come near her. And there was no sign of that either.
So is there any conversation around that she was held somewhere for a while and then dumped?
That's what her family believes.
Okay.
Investigators say no. They took 9 months. They took until August to reach their, quote, conclusion. They announced that they would not be filing any charges related to Henny's case after what they termed a, quote, thorough investigation, which did include the FBI and also the BIA. Federal prosecutors stated that they could not prove that any crime had been committed. In a press release, a U.S. attorney expressed sympathy to Henny's family and the Northern Cheyenne tribe, but held their decision. Quote, the evidence did not establish that Henny's death was anything other than a tragic accident. The press release just went over the same findings that we've mentioned. She was last seen walking away from the house. She was found 200 yards away. She had, related to the autopsy, died of hypothermia with alcohol and cold weather as factors. They said no significant trauma was found on her body. So no federal crime could be proven and the case would not be pursued.
I mean, it just feels like a whole bunch of lies.
It does. And I tried to look into why.
Yeah.
This house she's at, who owns it, who, and all of this is allegedly.
Well, I mean, I feel like it's going up higher, especially now that you've told us that the funeral director, aka the coroner, is the same person. And it almost feels like, is someone doing this to ramp up business? I mean,
right?
It's very strange.
It's like, who are we related to? Are we related to the police chief? Are we related to,
yes, it feels like a lot of cover up.
Yes. Are we afraid to come forward?
Protecting somebody.
Because of underage drinking or other things that went on at this house.
Yeah, as if that's just something extremely minor in the grand scheme of things.
Absolutely. And I can't figure it out. When they did get the case, so they did, like I mentioned, exhume her body, I think in 2021, to have a new autopsy done. It came back inconclusive. And I don't know if that's time passing.
Yeah, well, and I think inconclusive from what I've read, it's because you want to be able to decide the manner of death. And so when there's multiple, I mean, because maybe there is a little bit of hypothermia.
Yeah.
Because that did actually end up occurring. I mean, I don't know. Can hypothermia happen after you're dead? Like your body like still continues to go through that process as part of the, I mean, so maybe there is a little bit of that. But I would also think that being in the cold would preserve something, because I've also read that before too. But I mean, I know that inconclusive, at least it's not what they got of accidental.
Right.
Inconclusive at least changes the final verdict as hypothermia. But yeah, I think it's because if they cannot conclusively provide a manner of death, that's the word that they go to, which again allows technically a case to remain open.
Right. I wonder too, like you mentioned, if something else was in her drink or she was knocked unconscious and left outside, that could mean hypothermia. It could mean freezing to death in those kind of low temperatures.
But you wouldn't have all the other injuries.
True.
Because I'm like, the second autopsy did show those evidence of injuries, right?
That I'm not entirely sure on.
Okay.
That's what her mom has said in multiple.
Okay, well then, yeah, because she would get the actual results.
And what she witnessed from seeing her.
Right.
And, for the first autopsy to not even show a broken nose.
Yeah.
I can't.
That's kind of obvious.
And you're not going to say her nose is broken if it's not.
No.
I mean, that doesn't even make sense.
That's very specific.
Yeah.
Like it's one thing, okay, there was bruising and scratches, but broken nose that's very obvious.
She said it looked like Henny had been dragged to that spot.
I mean, yeah, I'm sure there were injuries that would lead someone to believe that. Interesting, though, that if she was taken and then dumped, that they chose the original area.
Possibly, maybe they're thinking they already searched.
Well, but then again, she could have been being held in that house, and if it wasn't ever searched, then no one would have known anyway.
Right.
Which, again, would be why then let's just drag her close to the house and...
And I don't know why we've seen this so much, but one of the rumors that swirled was that she had been kept in a freezer, which we've seen in other cases, and then put out here. Her mom isn't sure what to attribute to that, but to her, it would make sense that she was kept somewhere else. And then left out there.
Hidden. And then
maybe when the missing and endangered person alert went up.
Yeah. That prompted them to then get scared and move her.
Right. I'm not sure. Senator John Tester of Montana later pointed out that Henny Scott, quote, isn't the first to suffer from an inadequate response. He called the official handling of her disappearance, quote, delayed and ineffective as part of a troubling trend on reservations. And the thing that stands out to me is the isn't the first. And it almost feels like isn't the last.
Well, yeah.
Like the advocacy is great and that he's standing up, but
okay, yeah.
What are we going to do about Henny's case?
Okay, so he's saying all this, but is he doing anything about it?
They need to do more. The community came together to honor Henny's memory and demand change. In the months following her death, they had remembrance walks and gatherings. Her name is often said within the larger, broader crisis of MMIW. Her name has been spoken in tribal council meetings, at prayer circles, and even in Congress. At Henny's wake and funeral, over 200 people filled the high school gymnasium. There were tears and moments of silence, but also the sharing of stories about her kindness and her humor. They spoke at her service about the community's feelings of anger about what happened. They urged everyone to pray for the truth that whatever happened to Henny and caused her death would come to light.
Did her mom ever talk to any of the friends?
They tried to, and actually her stepdad went to the house before they found her and asked for whoever lived there to come out. And one of the boys did come out, and he said it was really unnerving because he wouldn't make eye contact with them and seemed to just brush off his questions and went back inside as quick as possible. So he felt like he was being lied to and misdirected.
Right.
After Henny
and probably knew more.
Exactly. After Henny was found, they did search through the house and they found her coat, which if she was leaving on her own accord, she would have taken her coat.
Well, yeah, you're not going to leave your stuff behind.
Exactly. And some of her other clothing, I'm not sure if it was socks.
Well, that's right, because she wasn't found in her clothing.
Right. That's what her mom said, but that's not in the official records.
I mean, shocking.
Right, exactly.
Nothing is in the official record.
Her mom knows that better than they do.
And so, I'm like, so then I'm now down the road of drugged sexual assault.
Exactly.
And then probably fear that she's going to tell. So then they kill her.
And there were
then
probably
pop her in the freezer. And then the actual advisory goes out. So then they're like, oh God, but now we really have to get rid of her.
Right.
I mean, the fact that, just the fact that at any point, if she really was being kept in the house, it could have been searched.
And they just didn't bother to.
That's wild.
It's so horrific. If she had friends there with her that were also drinking, they could have been completely unaware that anything was happening.
Yeah.
But
because, I mean, especially her being the younger one there, I mean, clearly she's a target.
Right. Maybe they've heard things since then.
Yeah.
Go forward.
Right.
Go tell people what you know or heard.
Right. Like enough years have passed.
Exactly.
Like let's
You're
let
in
the
your
conscious
20s now.
kick in.
Yep. It's not enough information because police didn't do their job. They didn't investigate. It's the jurisdictional thing where multiple agencies and then being cast as a runaway, sitting on a desk of somebody
with all the
out
injuries
of town.
on her, I just don't understand how they cannot classify that as foul play.
Exactly. I don't understand it either. Being brave enough to have that second autopsy and then having it not come back with answers doesn't help other people that are thinking about doing that, you know?
Yeah.
In the region that Henny is from, Indigenous people comprise about 6 to 7% of Montana's population, but they account for over 25% of the state's missing persons cases.
Those numbers are mind-boggling.
They really are. The county that she's in, Bighorn County, which neighbors Northern Cheyenne and includes the Crow Reservation, has the grim distinction of the highest rate of missing Indigenous women in the state. The numbers are staggering.
I mean, is there a serial killer that just hangs out in that area because they know it's a safe space for them? I mean,
how do you get to be?
I mean, I know some conclude to being the partner, you know, the obvious, but there's so many.
This isn't that.
No.
Yeah.
There's so, I mean, and just the fact that they all get labeled hypothermia.
Right.
I'm like,
how is that something you're known for? It's wild. And I don't understand how we didn't even get an Amber Alert. I don't understand how there's this runaway stereotype.
Well, yeah, that's
gotta
irks me.
change.
Like 14. Yep.
Yes.
Come on.
And even if she is a runaway, it doesn't matter.
No, she's 14.
She's 14. You've got to find her. She's not safe, even if she is.
Right. Where she can't go get a job.
No.
She can't drive. She doesn't have a driver's license.
Doesn't have a phone. Doesn't have money.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if she's
where is she running away to?
Exactly. And like we've talked about, the underfunding, understaffed, but we're still not even seeing the very basic criteria, like putting out the alert or getting her entered into the system.
Yeah, I would say Montana really needs a turquoise alert.
They do. I hope that they have one by now, but I have not seen if they do or not. I'll have to look that up. As I mentioned, Selena Not Afraid, who was 16 when she went missing, that happened in January 2020. And Sarah Stopp's Pretty Places was only 18, and she went missing in August of 2019. So these three right in a row, all of their families have came together trying to push lawmakers and authorities to do something, anything. And we see it now with Missing and Murdered, the docuseries.
Yeah.
But at the time, there was no media coverage. There was no outcry. There was no national coverage. And we talk about other cases where girls that are 14 and 16 and 18 go missing, and they're all over the headlines. And I don't know why these girls didn't get the same.
Yeah, same level.
Yeah, they deserved it.
Of outrage.
Yeah, and not just labeling it hypothermia.
God, that's just gross.
It is infuriating. In remembering Henny, we honor not only her bright spirit, but also the fight for a world where no family has to go through what hers did. And what would justice look like for Henny? Her mother might say it starts with truth, a real investigation that uncovers what happened that night and holds anyone who harmed Henny accountable. Allah has not given up on finding answers. Perhaps justice would be re-interviewing witnesses, re-examining evidence, and if warranted, bringing charges for negligence or abuse. But justice is bigger than one case. Justice for Henny means change so that no other family has to go through such delays and dismissals.
You would think that like letting someone go off on their own in the middle of winter might be some negligence there. Like,
might be.
Hey, can I get you a ride? Do you have a ride? I don't know.
Yeah.
And I know that, again, people can do what they want.
Right.
Just seems weird.
I know. It just feels
especially when I'm sure everybody knew she lived nowhere. I mean, it's not like you're walking across the street to go home.
Right. And this is a house that she'd been at, that her parents knew. I mean, her mom said when the phone number popped up on the caller ID, she knew where Henny was.
Yeah.
She could have come and picked her up.
Right.
So it sounds like
especially when she's grounded.
Had a ride home. Exactly. It's so heartbreaking. We hope that by sharing Henny's story and others like it, that we can keep attention on this crisis. Every listener can be part of change. Start by educating others. Talk about what happened to Henny Scott. When the topic of missing children or community safety comes up, bring up Henny. Challenge others to care about these girls as much as the high-profile cases that dominate the news. Remember that behind the term MMIW are real people and grieving families. Say their names. Henny Scott, Sarah Stopp's Pretty Places, Selena Not Afraid, Hannah Harris, and so many others who are loved and missed. We can also push for accountability by reaching out to political representatives, demand that they prioritize funding and attention for these issues. Every voice calling for justice adds pressure to ensure that Indigenous lives are protected. As Henny's grandmother said, their lives matter, a sentiment that should be obvious, but unfortunately needs repeating in a world that has too often ignored Indigenous women. If you've been moved by Henny's story, consider taking action. Support MMIW advocacy groups and local Indigenous-led initiatives. Educate yourself and others about the MMIW crisis. Urge law enforcement agencies to adopt better protocols and encourage lawmakers to enforce and expand legislation that protects Indigenous women and girls. We owe it to Henny and to all the stolen sisters to keep the light shining on their stories until change is achieved. Their lives matter, their story matters, and justice delayed, though it has been, must not be denied. So let us remember Henny Scott, celebrate her life, and commit to a future where no more Indigenous daughters are lost to silence.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Vanished Voices. We are grateful you've spent your time with us as we bring attention to these stories that too often go unheard. If you'd like to learn more about the resources and sources we used in today's episode, visit our website at vanishedvoicespodcast.com. Be sure to connect with us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Just search for Vanished Voices Pod. We'd love to hear your thoughts, feedback, or case suggestions, and to continue building this community with you. If you found value in today's episode, please take a moment to rate, review, and share the podcast. Your support not only helps us reach more listeners, but also helps amplify the voices of those who can no longer speak for themselves. You can find Vanished Voices on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, YouTube, and all major streaming platforms. And as always, refuse to let these voices vanish.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.